there's a huge qualitative difference between going through your day and living your life in a state of enthusiastic embrace of what you're doing and the situations that you find yourself in, versus resistant, complainy, wish you were doing something else, not sure if this is what you should be doing, or maybe just thinking about other things, not fully there. So presence in the passive sense that we've talked about a lot has to do with simply being aware of what is present, and we practice this with meditation most strongly because then we just reduce down what we're doing just to breathing. We're just sitting there and breathing, and so we can just be aware of everything that's in our field of experience without being involved with it very much. But once you stand up from the meditation, then you're doing things. What does it mean to be present in activity and what you're doing? Well, it means, first of all, that that you're fully involved with it, that you're fully there, and that there's no resistance there. And there's a positive quality to it. An example of this from the Torah that I love, my favorite example, it's not just an example of this full presence in action, but it's an example of the process by which someone got to that state, is Moshe Rabbeinu at the burning bush. Because what is he doing before that? He's just hanging out, right? He ran away from his problems, which was his own motive, right? The problems in Egypt it was too messy. He got away from it. Good, that's a good thing. Get away from your messy problems. But he didn't have a mission in his life. He was just living comfortably, right? So then what happens? He goes off and accidentally, it just kind of comes upon him. He realizes, wait a minute, I have something to do in my life, but I don't really want to do it. There's resistance, right? So the burning the voice of God is talking to him in this burning bush that's not being consumed. It's like when you're on fire for what you're doing, but it doesn't burn you up. It actually gives you energy, part of the symbolism of that, right? So the burning bush is telling him, go back to Egypt, but not to go be a prince like you were, but to do something, to accomplish this mission of helping the Israelites to get free. Well, how can I do that? I mean, who am I to do that? Hashem says, don't worry. I'll be with you. You're not really doing it. I'm doing it. But you have to play the role in it. The character of Moses has to be present in the story, and the role you have to play is the leader. But don't worry, it's not really any of your own power anyway. So that's exactly the situation we're all in every moment, right? If we choose that attitude. We might have some kind of big mission that we're on in our life, and we might not. That's actually kind of irrelevant in a way. The part that's really relevant is that once Moses stepped into his mission, like once that's what he was doing, then there was a fire there. There was a light there. And that fire, that light is the light of presence in action. It's the light of fully being in your life, without resisting, and not just without resisting, but with an embrace of it. So, and you can do it at any moment. Again, it doesn't have to be some big mission. It can be, and you might catch fire with a big mission. That's wonderful. But even if you're just driving along or doing the dishes or something, you could be not really there, or you could say to yourself, this is the task that Hashem has given me in this moment. Right? The mind tends to intellectualize ourselves out of presence. Right? Should I be doing something else? Well, but this is what you're doing. Right? Hashem Echad. There's nothing. The whole point of God consciousness is that it's always this. It's always right now. And the trick of the mind is it takes us away from right now. It splits us up. It divides us, potentially. But it can also bring it back together, because if we understand this teaching with our minds, if we understand it, then we can choose at any moment, I'm going to just embrace this. This is where Hashem put me in this moment. Welcome, welcome. If you'd like to sit there behind the camera, you can, but you can also come over here, whatever's more comfortable for you. Okay. And so notice when you say something like that to yourself, you say, this is where Hashem put me, right? This is what Hashem is giving me to do right now. You're creating a duality in your thinking. There's Hashem and there's me, two separate things. But that's just so that we can relate to it intellectually. It's a useful strategy to think of Hashem as over there, and here I am with my doing the dishes or whatever, and Hashem put me here. It's useful to think of it that way, because then you can. There's an energy of the heart that embraces the mission that we're being given, from Hashem, that can function when we think of it that way. But really, that's just a way that the mind can dualize in order to get ourselves into it. The reality is, Hashem Echad, we're talking about reality as a whole, so there's really no separation between me, between you, and the dishes, and any particular moment in time, and the consciousness that's aware of everything that you're hearing right now, and the thoughts that are arising in your mind, wondering, what is he, crazy? Right? All of this is it's all part of reality. It's all part of, Hashem Eloheinu. Hashem means the name, right? It's our affectionate name for God, to call God Hashem. But it means the name. And what is the name? The name is being. The name that comes from Hey Yud Hey, which is the verb to be. That's what it means. It means being. It means existence. So Hashem Eloheinu means, on this level, existence is our God. What is God? God is what we put our attention into, what we think is most important. So you make existence God, that means this moment, what we're doing right now, is given to us by God. This is our mission in this moment. In this week's Parsha, it's the exact opposite of that, because it's the beginning of the story of Joseph, and everybody is not in their mission, right? Everybody is doing the exact thing that we do when we're not really in our lives, right? Joseph is tattling on his brothers, right? His brothers are getting more and more jealous of him. They're hating him more and more. The whole substance of the story is just an expression of their jealousy, their negativity, in the beginning of it anyway. They take him and they're going to kill him, and then they don't kill him, but they pretend they killed him, and they sell him, and then they tell their father that he's dead. Such a tragic, horrific kind of story. And yet the wonderful thing is that the mission is there behind it anyway. Right? The whole thing works out in the end. We know that it all had to happen that way. And so that's why switching into our mission, right? Switching into being fully present and conscious, actively present, doesn't necessarily mean a kind of a teshuvah or a turning into a totally different life. Sometimes it does. Sometimes people realize, oh my God, this isn't the life I should be living. I'm going to make a change right now. Great. Maybe you quit smoking. You don't smoke. The truth is, before you coughed, I was going to say maybe you quit smoking, and then it was just serendipitous. So maybe you make a change, but that's not even the point. The point is that it's all God unfolding the way it's supposed to unfold. Supposed to, again, is a dualization we create in our minds. so that we can understand it. It's really just what is. And that Joseph's story is showing us that the divine mission is working out ultimately, and then eventually everyone does step into their roles in their divine history, and their how their characters are playing their divine roles in the Torah, right? But it says an interesting line. It says Yaakov asks Yosef to go out and find his brothers and go check on them, see what they're doing, right? And it says that a man found, Yosef went, and that a man found him, vihine toe basade. Hine means behold, check it out. Toe basade, it's translated as blundering in the field. He's blundering around in the field, doesn't know what he's doing. This is the level of consciousness that so many of us are going around in our life. We're blundering in the field. We're not fully in what we're doing. We're not fully there yet. So that's the invitation, is to find the burning bush. The burning bush that's telling us to fully do what we're already doing. And then see where that leads us. Once you have that consciousness, you may leave the pastoral life in Midian and go do something else, or you might simply come much more fully into what you're already doing.